Happy Camper Radio, episode 61. Come on, let's go camping. Sounds like summertime music to me, doesn't it, Daniel?
Humidity?
Hey, these temperatures are beautiful. I like it. No, in fact, I love it.
I know, you stay indoors all the time.
Well, this is great, great grass cutting weather. And what were you doing the other day?
Cutting the grass.
You could have come over and cut mine.
You have a riding lawnmower, Skip.
I do. But hey, I wouldn't mind watching you.
I did cut some of your
taking
trees,
some
actually.
of that. You cut?
Yeah, I did.
What
cut
trees did you cut?
The little tiny ones that grow up out of nowhere.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Just leave the big ones alone.
Oh, no, I'm not going to touch those. That's all you, Skip.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what. I am all set. I am all pumped up. Daniel, we've got a camping trip coming up, don't we?
Yeah, you do.
I do, yes. And the sad part is you are not coming along. Well, you're going to be there. You're coming... what day are we looking at? Possibly Saturday or Sunday, maybe?
Probably Sunday sometime.
And the reason you are coming over, number one, probably to see if I have some extra food in my cooler.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Aside from that, yes, you and I are actually going to podcast from the campground.
Oh, yeah. You got the hookup to your car, right? Because you're all about the perimeter.
Daniel, I know I knock the electronics at camp.
Right.
But there's a big exception when it comes to this radio show.
Okay.
So I am all set. I pulled the gear out last week. I got it all checked out and everything. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a great time. I've got my brother coming into town. My brother-in-law's going to be here. I've got a great camping spot right by the lake.
Oh, cool.
You can't beat that, Daniel.
Yeah, I wish you could
My
swim
whole idea is to get over here at the campground, be set up, hopefully no later than by 3 o'clock this Friday.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we'll get everything going, and everything will be in full swing.
We might stop by Friday night.
Okay, we can work on that. All right, and
just see what's up.
But like I said, possibly
out.
Saturday or Sunday, maybe we'll get together and do the show.
Sure.
And hopefully we'll have some out-of-town guests who are there at the campground also that we can get to participate in the show as well.
Maybe.
Hey, you can't beat that. Hey, our phone number here is 404-537-CAMP. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, and add us to your circles on Google+. Check out our website right now because that's the place you can go to access any one of our social media sites, right? And it's www.happycamperradio.com. Click on the RSS feed button so you can subscribe to the show and never miss a single episode. We've always got some new stuff that we're adding to the website. Daniel, it's shout-out time. Okay. I just want to go ahead and give you a warning ahead of time. Hey, we've got some great folks that are joining us this coming week. We have D&L Recreation Incorporated of Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. Oars Incorporated, oars.com. Yeah, ORS.com. And they're out of Angels Camp, California. And Daniel, I don't know who this is here, but he added us to circles this week. I don't think this is his real name, but Cheng Gang. C-H-E-N-G
I
gang.
used to work on Chain Gang.
Okay, well, yeah, anyway, he's out of Hong Kong. But every one of them added us to circles this past week on Google+, and we are delighted to have each and every one of them on board. All right, Daniel, I want to remind everybody, too, that we have just recently updated our Happy Camper Radio Google Plus page. And everyone that was in our circle and have added us to circles, I went ahead and I notified them that we were making this update. And basically what it was is I went ahead and created a new page, a new Happy Camper Radio page.
Okay.
Because under the old page that we had was under my name, and it was making it a little more difficult for anybody to find the Happy Camper Radio podcast.
Is it Happier Camper now?
Well, no, we're always going to be happy.
Well, maybe we're happier.
We could very well be.
And when
and
you change it could be happiest camper.
And our folks who listen to us are going to be happier if they just go ahead and add us to circles on Google+, and then we can shout out to them as well. Okay, on the radio show. Hey, Gary has been very busy.
Yeah, walking.
Walking is right, Daniel. Can you believe it? Hey, just a couple days ago, he went ahead and updated his website.
Oh, yeah?
He is now on well, it's probably day 25, but when he posted this back on the 1st, it was the 23rd day. And he is now in Hot Springs, North Carolina, and that is mile mark 272.
All right.
That is a lot of walking, Daniel.
That is a lot of walking.
It really is. And I believe his wife went ahead and posted a lot of this information because right now he is running into a little bit of problems with Wi-Fi and cell phone signals. And without the cell phone signals, yes, he's going to have a hard time calling the show. But I do expect to hear from him again very soon. And you've got to check out some of these pictures. Daniel, I love this one right here. And incidentally, folks, you can find this by going to our website at happycamperradio.com, and it's right there on the homepage. And we're talking about Gary and his hike up the Appalachian Trail all the way to the state of Maine. But check out this picture where Daniel, he calls himself the Green Giant, and I can understand why. He's always got something green on.
He does.
Right?
I love that color.
Yes, but
color.
This sign where he is at, I don't know how he could stand there and smile, knowing that from where he is at this particular point, he still has 1,972 miles to go.
Yeah, you better pick it up.
He's going to do fine. He's going to do fine. He's got his gear, and he's been taking a lot of great pictures.
Yeah.
And this is just awesome, folks. Not too many people get the opportunity to do this.
I want to do it.
I bet you do, and you're still young enough, Daniel. For me, I'm a little too old for that now.
Oh.
So I'll look for your website, and I'll look for the pictures that you will post.
Yeah.
I doubt very much your wife will be going with you, but
why not? If I could just take a sabbatical, I'd be on my way.
She's going to have to do exactly what Gary's wife is doing, and that's stay behind. Number one, to feed the pets, and number two, she's going to have to post all these fancy stories of yours.
Yeah, your roommate
on your
can
website.
Feed my pets.
Okay, well, Daniel, hey, we're a little bit late, but let's get our campfire started here.
It's getting a little chilly in here.
Yeah, at nighttime it does get a little on the cool side, and nighttime is the absolute best time to have a campfire.
And tell ghost stories.
Did you notice all the wood that I've got stacked by the edge of the driveway?
I saw
yes, that's going to camp in just a couple of days from now. Daniel, today we're going to be talking about boating and boating safety. We are looking at some beautiful temperatures now. The weather is fine. Folks who are going camping in the summer, especially the ones who enjoy camping by a lake, are often going to be tempted, if not to take in swimming, then boating on the lake.
And jet skis.
It's a lot of fun. Have you ever been boating before?
Boating, jet skis,
You've probably been
boats.
You've probably been on the lake a lot more
I've been
than
on
I
an
have.
aircraft carrier. I was in the Navy.
Well, yes, you were boating.
So that's a big old boat. They like to call it a ship, but I call it a boat.
Yeah, there's no question about that. You definitely have been boating. But, it's also important that our listeners know that if you're going to take time on the lake, to know the safety rules and know what you need to do to keep you and your family safe while you're out there having a great time. Boating accidents are something we don't want to see, but it's a reality of life, and, sometimes bad things do happen. And it's unfortunate. We don't want to go on any camping expedition and come to find out that us or any member of our family or any member of any family runs into an accident in one way, shape, or form. But oftentimes accidents do happen on the lake, and they occur for a variety of reasons. Let's take a look at some of the possibilities here. Now, first of all, we have inexperience. There are some folks who are just inexperienced behind the wheel of a boat, whether they own the boat whether they are renting the boat or maybe even borrowing a boat from somebody. Okay, if you're not experienced, then there's the likelihood that something could go wrong, something could happen. Also, there could be a mechanical issue with the boat. This is a possibility too. Boating accidents occur because of excessive speed on the water, because of carelessness, and Daniel, this is a big one right here: boating under the influence, otherwise known as BUI. Some people don't realize that you can go to jail if you get caught under the influence behind the wheel of a boat. You will find laws in, I believe, in all 50 states, Daniel, that if you are intoxicated, if you are over, your blood alcohol content is over a certain level, you could actually go to jail. Your vessel could be impounded. You could be looking at some very stiff fines. You could be facing, a judge. Well, you will face a judge, no doubt about that. Right? And that's going to put a damper not only in your fun, but everybody else in your camping party.
Well, I know in order to drive like a jet ski or something, I know you have to have a driver's license on you at all times. And I know that in certain areas of a lake, if you're going out on a lake, there'll be what's called a no-wake zone, and that's when you don't want to make any waves. Wake means wave, so you don't want to make any waves while you're going like under a bridge or in certain areas. That's really important too, because some people will just blow through that, and you can really get a big fine if you do that. But I was just looking on the internet here, and evidently, if you are inexperienced, they have boating schools and boating classes that you can go to and, learn how to, drive a boat. And, it's a lot different from a car. A car, you put on the brake, you stop, you put on a brake on a boat, and, it keeps going. You got to figure out how it works and everything,
Not to drift off subject here, but I want to go back to a camping trip that I went on. In fact, if our listeners go back to our very first episode, actually, you weren't unfortunately a part of that one, but, I believe I featured our Schaefer Herd campground in West Point, Georgia, down on West Point Lake. And what reminds me so much of West Point, Daniel, is when I was camping, I was always camping by the lake. There was a site down there, and I'll never forget it, site number 88. But at nighttime, you're talking about the wake, you're not allowed to create the waves and things like that. There is an exception to that.
Oh, really?
I recall back then, and I slept so good through this, there could be a little rowboat or maybe a boat with a tiny little motor on it, and that boat would be way out in the distance, and it would drive across the lake. You could faintly hear that motor, and about 5 minutes later, these tiny little waves come splashing up and slapping up against the shore.
Oh, really?
Isn't that to me, Daniel, is so relaxing. Now, those type of waves, I don't mind. I can live with that.
Okay.
Okay, but
I know they have certain lakes where you can't have a gas powered boat in there. I know there are certain where everything has to be electric. Evidently, there's fumes and everything, and that's mostly if you're going fishing or something. They usually want you to have like an electric motor or something.
Okay. Well, here's some interesting statistics, Daniel, and I pulled these off the internet. In fact, you can check them out on our website at happycamperradio.com. Just go to Skip's Corner. It's under the link section. Here's some statistics from the United States Coast Guard. Every 2.5 hours, someone is injured or killed in a boating accident. All right, that is something that doesn't have to happen. Now, what are your chances of drowning if you are in a boating accident? It really all depends on whether or not you are wearing a life vest. If you're wearing a life vest, your chances of survival are going to be so much greater.
Oh, I want to tell you something about this. You know how back in the day they wore bell bottoms in the Navy? Well, there's a reason for that. If you fell overboard, you're supposed to take your pants off and, get them full of air and put them around your neck and make that like a life jacket.
I can remember bell bottoms in high school.
Yeah, that's why the Navy had them.
It was they were fashionable. You wouldn't get away with that today, though. But hey, what are your chances of drowning in a boating accident? Well, again, if you have a life vest on, your chances of drowning is 1 in 66. If no life vest is worn, then that number comes down tremendously. It's 1 in 11. So do you see what the importance of wearing a life vest is? Daniel, I want to compare that almost to wearing a safety belt in a car. If you're driving down the road, I believe in all 50 states, there is a law that says you have to have seatbelts on. I know there are laws pertaining to child safety seats. We've talked about those,
Right.
In preparation to, going on a long camping trip. But I like to compare wearing a safety belt in a vehicle to wearing a life vest in a watercraft. It does you no good for that life vest to be sitting off to the side and not being available within arm's reach if you need it. And even some cases, if something happens where somebody falls overboard and they don't have that life vest on, they're not a good swimmer, that life vest is not going to do them any good. So, I say, definitely wear your life vest. Now, Georgia is no stranger to boating accidents. In fact, Daniel, I remember this one here back in June of 2012, just a couple years ago. It was on Lake Sidney Lanier, and that is a very popular boating destination.
Yeah, I would never go there.
Very large lake. Unfortunately, there were two boats that collided, and this happened about 10:30 at night. Now, hey, I want to also point out that some people enjoy time on the water at night, but also at night you've got to be extra vigilant.
Yeah.
At nighttime, your visibility is going to be so much lower than it would be during the day. So you've got to be mindful of the fact that you are not going to be the only one on the water.
They have special lights, actually, that they light during the nighttime. It's usually like when I was in the Navy, they had red lights. If you have a red light on at night, you can be seen better. But if you don't have any lights on, you're playing with fire.
Yeah, well, in this particular instance, Daniel, two boats collided, and one of them, I'm imagining this was a speedboat, collided with a pontoon boat carrying 13 people. And two young brothers, ages 9 and 13, went into the dark lake. There was a third brother on that boat. Now, he was able to jump overboard and pull his younger brother back on the watercraft. Unfortunately, there was nothing they could do for him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till, I believe, several days later when they located the body of his third brother in the lake. It's sad that had to happen, Daniel, but as a result, the driver of the boat that collided with the pontoon boat, he went to jail.
Yeah.
He was charged with driving under the influence, reckless operation of a vessel, failure to render aid, and he went to jail for something like 30 months.
Wow. He's
doing like 400 hours of community service, will no longer have boating privileges in the state, and he's going to have to undergo drug and alcohol evaluations. This, Daniel, I hate bringing up, these sad things, but, you've got to face reality. These do happen on the lake.
Yeah.
And just last year, we're looking in 2013, there were 2 boating fatalities on the same day. This is going to be in July. We had, I remember this one because it was all over the news. Unfortunately, a gentleman who was up on Lake Allatoona, which is another popular boating destination, he fell from his bass boat. I don't know for what reason, but, his boat ended up driving in circles at full throttle for about 15 minutes, and while he was in the water, the boat ran over him.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and he was unconscious when they pulled him up on shore, and he passed away as a result. He was not wearing a life vest at the time, and the very same day, up on Lake Lanier, they had a woman fell in the water by the boat dock, and when she went in the water, she couldn't swim. Her husband went in the water after her. He couldn't swim. They had to both be rescued. The husband survived. She did not. So do you understand how dangerous the water can be?
I think the main thing is to teach people to swim. I don't think, if you don't know how to swim, there better be a life vest on you.
There better be, yes.
Well, and
without question.
Basically, what I'm saying is everyone needs to learn how to swim, in my opinion. If you're going to be on a boat, if you're going to be near water, you need to know how to swim. You said 1 in 60 cents if there's a life jack 1 in 11 if there's no life jacket. What's the statistic if they can't swim and they don't have a life jacket? That's got to be like 1 in 2.
Daniel, I know some young kids that are better swimmers than I was when I was their age, and of course at the same time I know some grown adults that cannot swim and will stay away from the water. So I'm with you 100% on that. People do.
Everyone needs to learn how to swim.
And again, wearing that life vest is going to be extremely important. Now, your life vest, everybody should have a life vest that's on that boat. If you have 10 people on a pontoon boat, you should have 10 life vests. All right, and you're not going to be buddying up with somebody. You're not going to be borrowing somebody's on that boat. And I'm sure that there are going to be law enforcement on the water. They may come up, they may check your vessel, they may check your life vests to make sure that you have the correct number of life vests, for the number of people that you have on board your watercraft.
And you might want to check out the things that you need to have, the certain licenses, because I know a boat needs a certain license and it needs to be renewed every year. You want to take that kind of stuff into consideration before you go out there. So when when they do pull you over, you have the proper paperwork and your license and the life vest and all that, so that there's no trouble.
Yeah, and I believe the boat licenses. Now I don't have a boat yet. I'm still a few years from retirement, Daniel, and that's going to be on my bucket list right there. I would love to own a pontoon boat, but the life vest that you have should be U.S. Coast Guard approved. They should be in good and serviceable condition, and they should be within reach if not worn. All right, I say, and I've been saying it right from the very beginning, Daniel, the life vest is not going to do you any good if it's sitting in your watercraft and not on your body. All right, there should be, again, the appropriate size for the intended wear, and all states are going to have laws regarding children wearing life vests. Check with the state that you live in to find out what their laws are. I think it would be foolish to be on the water and not have your child with a child vest on, a life vest of some sort.
Definitely.
Okay. So check with your state boating officials to find out what your laws and regulations are in the area and where you live. Now, life vests can save lives, Daniel, but only if they are worn. Here's one other thing I want to talk about, Daniel, and I mentioned it right here at the very beginning of the episode, and that's this dangerous activity called boating under the influence. All right. You've heard of driving under the influence. In some states, they call it DWI, which is driving while intoxicated. Some states refer to it as DWI, driving while intoxicated. But on the water, it's known as BUI. It's the same as driving a car under the influence. You're putting your life at risk. You are putting the lives of other people on the water at risk. It's something you do not need to do. And don't think that you cannot go to jail to get arrested and put behind bars and have your watercraft impounded if you are caught boating under the influence. Again, Daniel, we hear about it all the time. It happens in this state. I'm sure, for some of our listeners, they can probably recall similar situations, maybe not this year, but in previous years where a boating accident on a lake, somewhere had occurred that didn't have to happen.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
and some people, and ended up dying because of it.
Another angle that we haven't really thought of is make sure your boat has the proper maintenance done to it. I mean, a boat is just like a car or a camper. You have to do certain things to maintain it. And if you don't maintain it like it should be maintained, accidents are more likely to happen. You don't have the kind of control with a boat that you do with a car.
Yes.
And if you don't, if your motor's not working or if something's not working, something could happen. So that you just want to take all the precautions you can.
Well, hey, as we indicated at the start of the program, Daniel, mechanical issues are very, very important.
Exactly.
So, I would say, annually have your boat inspected.
Absolutely.
Have it checked out and make sure everything is working like it should. Again, these penalties can be stiff if you get caught boating under the influence. The smart thing is never use alcohol or drugs or get behind the wheel of a boat and navigate that boat if you are under the influence. It's time now for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Okay, Daniel, I want to go out to the state of New Mexico this week.
All right.
And I've laid my eyes on this place, Daniel, because unlike the public campground that I know that I'm going to be going to, that you're going to be joining us in, this place is isolated. You want to talk about being way off the road. It's a great place, and I would invite everybody to check it out right now on our homepage at happycamperradio.com. Over on the left side of the screen, click on the featured campground button. It is the Cimarron Campground in New Mexico. They have, and I believe, Daniel, looking at this here, I think it's about 30-some spots available at this particular campsite. So if you want to get there, and if you can also make your reservations right there online. But this campground is open all the way through Sunday, October the 26th. If you love nature, if you love big game, if you like watching some of the smaller animals too, you would appreciate this campground. Speaking of big game, they have mule deer, elk, antelope, black bear, mountain lion, and bighorn sheep, all frequent this particular forest. And now the elevation out there, I too understand, is kind of high. All right, it's in the Carson National Forest, and the elevations range from 6,000 feet to 13,161 feet at Wheeler Peak, which is the highest in New Mexico. Now, anglers could enjoy fishing at the Rio Grande they have cutthroat. Let me see what is here, Daniel. I need my glasses. I don't have them today. Okay, anglers can fish this area. Cutthroat trout in the Comanche Creek and the Rio Pablo nearby is a great destination. So if you want to go fishing, you can do that too. But here's one of the kickers I want to go ahead and point out is the fact that the campground is remote. The nearest gas station or convenience store is located 29 miles away.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's a long way. So if you need a loaf of bread, you're going to have to go all the way back into town for that, or do without. So, it's important that you do all your shopping ahead of time. Make sure that your vehicle is in well-maintained order. Make sure that you have a spare tire and some changing tools. They have horse facilities available here. Plenty of your typical activities and amenities. They got hiking. They have a campground host, birding, campfire rings, horse corrals, river access. Daniel, there's plenty of things to do at this particular campground, and I think you would enjoy it if you were out there. I know I certainly would. It's the Cimarron Campground in New Mexico, and it is our featured campground of the week right here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And as always, if you have a campground that you would like Daniel and I to feature on the show, all you've got to do is give us a shout. You can call us at 404-537-CAMP. Or you can email me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. Or
Daniel at happycamperradio.com.
You sound real excited about that one today, pal. But anyway, I am looking forward to getting over to the campground. It's only a few days away. And you'll be able to tell by the sound of my voice when I get there, Daniel, that
I'll be over there a couple times. It ain't that far.
It will be in full swing, and we're going to take a lot of pictures too.
Okay.
Post them on Facebook, put them on the website.
There we go.
And folks, this campground is awesome. A lot of great things to do, and we're going to be beefing that campground up all next week when we talk about it here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. Daniel's a happy camper.
Woo!
And you, my friends, can be a happy camper too. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to Happy Camper Radio.